Hi, I'm Blissfully Emma, welcome back to my channel. It's great to see you all again. I do vegan health and lifestyle videos every Wednesday. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing. Today I'm going to be showing you my top 5 vegan recipe books. I'd love to know what your favourites are though, so let me know in the comments below. Now, I only own a small amount of recipe books. If there's anything I particularly fancy eating, I usually just Google it or I go on Pinterest to find it. I do this for specific recipes and also for brand new recipes. I often find that when I'm researching recipes online, like, I don't know, a new way of making mushroom risotto or a new way of kind of spicing up my flapjack recipes, I uncover a whole range of new recipes that I wouldn't have even thought of making. You discover a whole new range of kind of cookery and different ways of eating. That being said, you just can't beat a good cookbook. There's something really special about that favourite copy of yours that's kind of covered in food stains and has lots of different bookmarks in it. It's got a real kind of it ends up having a real sentimental value to it. Does anyone else feel the same way about cookbooks, or is it just me? Let me know in the comments below. And I've got to say, I love cookbooks that are beautifully designed. As I'm a graphic designer, I'm a really visual person, so I love cookbooks with really beautiful photography. They've got to have big pictures, even if like my food doesn't end up looking like the picture, which more often than not it doesn't. It's nice to see what it could have looked like. I also struggle with recipes that are really long to follow or ones that are presented in a really complicated way. Even if I was wanting to cook a 3-course vegan dinner that was really creative and with really complicated presentation, I would still want instructions that were easy to follow. Now, before I begin, I just want to say that regardless of what recipe book I'm using, I always tweak the recipes. 1, so that it matches in with my own personal tastes, and 2, I run a gluten-free household because, as I've said previously on my channel, due to my husband's health, we've cut gluten out of the house completely. So I'll often swap out ingredients and replace them with the gluten-free alternative. I also don't cook with any olive oil or granulated sugars. Now, some of the books that I'll be showing you, they use these in their recipes, but I'll just swap them out. So I'll use water instead of oil, and for granulated sugar, I often use ground dates or a touch of agave. And if I'm cooking something savoury that's asked for some reason, has asked for granulated sugar, I won't even add it in, because for me, although I've got a sweet tooth, I don't really apply it to savoury things, so I probably wouldn't add it in that case. Now, I also want to emphasise that this is just a list of my favourite cookbooks. I haven't been sponsored or paid in any way by any of the owners or writers or related to any of these recipe books to promote them in any way. It's just simply a list of my favourite ones and just some ideas and some thoughts to get you started with your own cooking at home. So without further ado, here are my top 5 vegan recipe books. Number 5, Peas and Parsnips, Vegan Cooking for Everyone by Lee Watson. I was actually given this book as a present, and there's no surprise why. It's a beautiful publication. It uses bright and vibrant illustrations mixed in with gorgeous photography. I just want to give the design team behind this one a big high five. But anyway, moving on. It's a very thick recipe book with plenty of vegan recipes to choose from. It ranges from the most simple recipes to the slightly more complicated. I love the beginning of this book. The author talks about the different fruits and vegetables, the different seasons, and he then goes on to talk about the kind of food he buys in. He also talks about why he went vegan and how the meat and dairy industry treat animals. There's also a food myths section that busts myths such as milk is the best source of calcium. The beginning of this book is great for new vegans or anyone thinking of transitioning to become a vegan. One of my favourite recipes is a potato, aubergine and basil gratin with crispy onions. I mean, look at that. It's delicious. Number 4. Now, this one is a little different. It's Jason Vale's Juice Master recipe book. I just had to include a juice and smoothie recipe book in my list because I'm a huge smoothie fan. I could have them for breakfast, lunch and dinner. This book would brighten up any morning with its bright, bold colours that it uses throughout. The recipes are quite simple and they're quite easy to follow. There's no pictures of the actual smoothies, but then again, once you've seen one smoothie, you've pretty much seen them all. I tend to like smoothie recipes that have avocados and berries, and this book has these. It also encourages you to be a little more adventurous by adding in ingredients like prunes and kiwi, Well, that's adventurous for me anyway. I'll quite often add almond milk to these mixtures as well. Now, this book does include ingredients that aren't vegan, like honey and yogurt, but you can always swap them out for their vegan equivalents. All in all, I've had some fun with this book. Number 3, The Kitchen. Eat like you give her. So I just need to emphasise that before you even think about buying this recipe book, you need A, a sense of humour, and B, you need to be very, very comfortable with swear words. Because this book drops a lot of F-bombs. There's a lot in the introductory section, and they even kind of slip the F-bombs into the actual recipes themselves, so watch out. So if you don't like swearing or you're not comfortable with it, this recipe book is not for you. As we say in the UK, it's not your cup of tea. Me personally though, I'm okay with swear words, and I actually find that when I'm using this book, when you're reading through it, the sense of humour just makes cooking a real laugh. One of the reasons I like this recipe book, other than its awesome vegan recipes, is that it turns veganism on its head. I think sometimes there's a bit of a stigma surrounding veganism, like you've got to be some kind of hippie that lives in the middle of nowhere, or you've got to be into yoga or be this kind of health guru, whereas this book really kind of challenges those stereotypes. This book is practical, funny, and above all, it keeps it real. The design and layout of this book is on point, and the recipes are big and hearty with fewer ingredients. And it's written in a way that makes it easy to swap out any of the ingredients if you need to. And I love their roasted chickpea and broccoli burritos. Number 2, and I really hope I pronounced the author's name right, it's The New Vegan by Orny Carlin. This book has another beautifully written introduction. Orny talks about her reasons for going vegan. She talks about health, compassion and the environment, and it's very down to earth. There's even a section on what to tell people when you've gone vegan. There's handy tips on what to say to friends and family. I just thought that was a really nice touch. This is another book that challenges the stigma of going vegan. Granted, it's not as in your face like The Kitchen is, but Orny's writing style makes veganism very approachable, which is great for people who are transitioning. Again, the design geek that I am, love the design and layout of this book, and the recipes are easy to follow. The illustrations are beautiful, and there's some really yummy photography to get your belly rumbling. I think there's something for everyone in this book. There's some recipes that have few ingredients and some recipes that have a lot of ingredients. I've still found myself swapping ingredients out though to make the recipes gluten-free. One of my favourite recipes is the bulgur wheat bowl with roasted veggies. Yummy. Number 1, Deliciously Ella. Now, to the best of my knowledge, Deliciously Ella doesn't label herself or her recipe books as vegan, but this book is packed full of plant-based whole food recipes. I use this book and her other book called Everyday quite a lot. This book is great because the recipes contain few ingredients, so you can just add to them and create your own versions of them. There's some really good recipes you can batch cook, and there's quite a few sweet treats that are made of whole food ingredients. This is another book that's beautifully designed with huge pictures of the food. And it's also lovely to be able to read her story at the beginning of the book. In the book she breaks down kitchen essentials from nut butters to plant-based milks, everything you need to know really to get you started. It just makes it more accessible for anyone who's wanting to introduce more plant-based meals into their diet. One of my favourite recipes is the almond and chia energy bites. So good. After looking at these books again, I'm now buzzing with different vegan recipe ideas. So I'm starving now. I'm going to head to the kitchen and cook myself some dinner. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you like what you see and you're new to this channel, then hello and please consider subscribing. See you next time.